Awesome. So this is a I know Claire already does it, but past life regression is out the gate exciting. It's one of those things that are being asked for all the time. I noticed that, with the cost of living and stuff, quite a few different things like weight loss and stuff have gone a bit quiet, I think, just because people are holding on to their money. But the spiritual stuff is more like, I'm getting people asking for past life regressions, which is really crazy because I haven't really had that before. Not a lot of them actually, people reaching out and asking, can I do it? And at the moment I don't do it, because you'll find when you do past life regression, you have to put quite a lot of time into it. So you charge for past life a lot more than you would a normal hypnotherapy session, because the time you need to put into it is a lot more. Like if someone went for a QHHT session, the Dolores Cannon style, right now it's about $850, I think, in New Zealand, or $650 to have one, and it's a minimum of 4 hours. The way we do it, we don't need to do it that long, but you'd still definitely be looking at, you'd have to put aside 2 to 3 hours, I'd say, for a past life session, and you just charge accordingly. Just because rapport is hugely massive when you do past life, and the interview is a place that you'll actually spend quite a lot of time getting to know the client, but we will go into that later. So past life is something. So Claire, I know you've done lots of study in past life. Alinka, Deb, and Naomi, you guys are new to past life, eh?
Yeah.
Actually doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So past life is something that you normally would do quite a lot of training on. Like, I've done a lot of training with lots of different people on past life regression. And when I teach the diploma, I talk about how not to do it unless you're trained, because it's not something, memories are not something you kind of play with without knowing how to get out of the situation. If you get into a hard situation like someone burning, you need to have the skills and the knowledge to be able to shift a person through a place, and to be able to dissociate the lifetime with the other, with what's going on today. So it is something that you always be cautious of, but because you understand SP, and because you have the knowledge of working with what we call super conscious, it's an easy process to learn doing it SP way, because we already have a lot of safety built into the way we work. So like, I wouldn't teach past life in a day if it wasn't for the way we used SP. So like, if we got into a sticky situation in a past life regression and we were using SP style, we know all we need to do is say, hey, super conscious, come in and do whatever needs to be done here to resolve whatever's going on, and let me know when it's done. So we have ways of working in SP where we can safely guide a client into different scenarios, that we wouldn't normally be able to do if we didn't have knowledge of working this way. So so that's why we can kind of teach it today in one day, instead of having quite an expansive training if you were learning to do past life regression from the start, learning inductions, learning language. So it's quite unique to be able to learn it like this and quickly and safely, which is quite neat. That's why I like SP. Of course, there's always, if you really get into past life, there's cool trainings in New Zealand with Dawn and lots of other things you can do. But for SP style, it's a breeze to do, especially with super conscious. I thought I'd put that disclaimer in the start, just because, like I said, it's interesting that we can learn a process in one day that would normally take quite a long time and a lot of practice. So when we are going to be going through it today, I decided to give the structure of the session and the script as one full session, start to finish, using the SP language, the P steep high, the foundations, and incorporating that whole process into doing a past life on people. We are going to talk about later how you can do it as a 3-session program. like myself, as I was looking at the SP style and then thinking about how we do other types of healings outside of hypnotherapy, like going to a medicine ceremony and things, there's the importance of integration and there's the importance of preparation. And I think when we're working with past life and altered states, being able to get the client into a place where their mind is really ready to do a past life is going to make the experience way more profound. One of the biggest things that you have problems that you can have doing past life, especially in just one session with someone that you don't really know coming in, is that, you know, they might not go anywhere, or they might not see anything, or they might not experience anything. And I do have clients coming to me saying, you know, I did a certain kind of session and, you know, I got hypnotized, or, you know, nothing really came out of it. And a lot of that's got to do with, yeah, the preparation and getting the mind ready to be able to journey to different places and to really understand how the client's mind visualizes. When we're working with imagination, when we're doing past life, I've got it in the little manual I'll give you soon. When we're doing past life, we are working in the world of imagination. We're not saying it's imagination. We're not saying that it's not real, but when it comes to our brain and the way the information is perceived, we are working in the realm of visualization and imagination. So that's where information is actually being sensed by us to be able to tell us what the person is saying, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying it's imagination, I'm saying the way we perceive it and give the information out in our brain is that world of imagination. And it's really important when we are looking at this kind of work that we really understand how our client's imagination works. So people will come to you and say, I can't visualize, and that's was me most of my life. And people will say, I don't have an imagination. Now, everybody does, or else we wouldn't be here. Like when we wake up in the morning, we picture ourselves brushing our teeth. We imagine our reality. We wouldn't be able to move forward if we didn't have an imagination. Do you know what I mean? It's how we get from A to B, is picturing things in our head. The only thing that's different with people is how we perceive that information. So for some people, you might do hypnosis on someone and you take them to a garden and they see flowers and he's got it, very visual imagination. And that's really cool to work with. I am going to play you a little past life I did a few days ago. I wanted to record one just so we can watch it and pull it apart. And so working with someone that's visual is neat. But there's people like me that are more of a sense of feeling type of person, where it's not so much closing your eyes and visualizing a garden, but you're in the garden and you sense you're in the garden, you can feel it, you're in the garden. Now, both imaginations are working, both minds are working perfectly fine for the person, right? But it's our job to be able to explain that to the client, to be able to say that all of us are perceiving the information in the same way. It's just how we express it and how our mind shows us what we're experiencing is different. And so when we're doing things like past life, it's really important to kind of get a gauge of what your clients like, what they experience. The more hypnosis you do, the more visual people are going to become, just like dreaming. Do you know what I mean? It's being able to visualize, being able to sense and hear and smell is the same as any other muscle in our body. The more we use it, the better it gets. I know that they're talking out there about aphasia and all of these different things where the brain doesn't have that ability, but I'm kind of proof that if you work on it and trust the process, you can start to visualize. And it's taken me years, but it's coming, and it's coming more and more through practice, maybe with the help of a little bit of medicine. It's probably not the bit of a naughty way, but it would have opened up some channels. But for it to open up, it means that it was there. So when you're working with a client, they may not be able to visualize when you start, but you'll find the deeper they go into trance, and dreamland, almost like we do in sleep, those visuals might come up and they might not even remember them when they come up. So with past life, it's really important that we understand our clients, okay, with the way they perceive things. Now, we will talk about later how to figure that out with the client. And it's really important with this kind of work that you do a really good free consult with them. If you're going to be doing it on Zoom, it's good to do the consult actually on Zoom. And I know with a normal hypnotherapy session, it's quite a big deal. You know, you spend quite a lot of time for nothing, you know, chatting with someone. But like I said, you'll kind of put that into the price of how you would work your business doing past life, you know, and that's kind of why it's also a little bit, costs a little bit more. So you really want to, past life regression is something that you really want to connect and gel with your client. It's, if the connection isn't there and the rapport isn't there, it's just going to be a no-go, because it's the kind of session where the client's mind really has to let go and trust the process. And it's really only going to do that with someone that, unless they're very easy to click off and dissociate, you know, it's going to be a session where your rapport with you and the connection is quite important. So for you doing past life regressions, choosing your clients and referring on is really important for you to have a good outcome. Just like any other hypnosis, but this is quite different to getting someone just to close your eyes or having a conversation and switching things around. The expectation to go to another lifetime and experience things is quite different. So yeah, so having that free consult and really talking and understanding your client and seeing where they're at is really important. When we talk about doing past life and as a session plan, I'll talk about later, I'll show you how to do it as a full session where you can just interview someone, give them a recording and see them. But if I was going to myself do a SP style permanently and just work this way and say become a past life regressionist only, using SP, if someone was going to come to me for a past life regression because they had an issue in their life, I would definitely be working with it in a way that you would do a ceremony or anything else, whereas they would come in and they'll do a full SP session on the issue first, which will allow their mind to sort out whatever needs to be sorted out. It will help their nervous system to calm down, to get used to the process, to get used to you before we journey in the second session, if that makes sense. So it would be a whole process where there's preparation, getting ready, clearing the mind, doing whatever needs to be done in a session to prepare them for the special journey that they're going on. Do you know? And you know, you can even put things in place for the week prior to the session, you know, things that actually support mind well-being, like maybe clearing the mind of stimulants, or maybe, you know, all of the things that will kind of not be too helpful for someone if they were wanting to go into these deeper states. And that's something that you can create yourself. But having that idea of bringing them in and preparing them and then doing a past life, to me, is something special. If you've had a person that's never really experienced anything profound before, and maybe the whole even spiritual stuff is new to them, then taking them in and doing a past life in hypnosis can be pretty mind-blowing. And I'll show you what I did the other night on Caroline, because Caroline, I've done lots of hypnosis work with Caroline. I've done a couple of past lives, but it's usually just close your eyes, where are you? We never do it as a proper session. But you'll see, even after we did the one we did the other night to show you guys, at the end, she was still like, the hell was that? Like, now I'm questioning my beliefs again. Now, this is someone that lives in this world 24/7, and she still has that response afterwards of, oh my God, do you know what I mean? And even me, I still have it like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know, real or imagined, I don't know, but holy, that was pretty cool. So do you know what I mean? For us, we live in this world, but for people new coming in, this is a big experience. to be taken into places and to get their mind around the idea of what just happened. And that's why for me also integration. Yeah. Integration is so important. What integration is having someone to talk to, after. Yeah, Claire?
Yeah, no, what you've just been saying is just so true. It can be such a profound experience for somebody. You know, I'm just thinking of my own, like a few of the experiences that I've had doing past life regressions, you know, had facilitated for myself. One in particular was so profound for me, and it still lingers with me in a really good way, in a really good way. It gave me the opportunity to feel a certain state that I kind of, you know, have a little glimpse of once in a while, but I really was feeling the state. It was really profound. Absolutely.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, for anybody that hasn't experienced anything like that, what you're saying about, you know, really preparing them for that journey is, you know, in a very gentle process, is really important. I can really emphasize that. So relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, it's for us, we need to realize that when we delve in the spiritual world of hypnosis, we are entering into a different magical realm. Like Carl Jung calls it the imaginal. It's a realm of just where anything is possible, but at the same time we have to give it we have to respect the space, because when we are working with this kind of space, it's so important that we keep our client's mind safe, and by keeping our client's mind safe, it's also, like I said, the preparation, the understanding, the awareness that we are in the session, their mind is going to be expanded into new ideas and new things, and we need to hold that space as pretty damn sacred, because you know, like in the past, I've had clients where people have done spiritual processes without the person knowing that it was going to be spiritual, or coming in for very straight clinical things, and they've come to me because they've had their mind expanded without preparation or without knowing that that was going to happen. And then they started questioning things. Well, if I had this happen, are there demons? Are there bad things? Are there? And they come to me quite scared, because their mind's been open to this whole new idea that wasn't there before, but it hasn't been protected and presented in a way that keeps them safe, and kind of boundaries around it, if that makes sense. So for me, the preparation and doing this more kind of spiritual hypnosis and the integration is really important. So integration is when you come together after the session and actually talk about it and tidy it up. So talking about, you imagine having a really profound experience and going and saying to your friends, hey, I went and had this thing happen. And then they're just looking at you like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. You know, it's quite hard. I know with me, when I've had, say, medicine ceremonies and stuff, and people say, how was it? And you're like, you just don't know what to say, because whatever you say, they're not going to hear it, because unless you've done it, you know what I mean? It's a profound experience. And you're going to have people going and doing something, and they're going to go and run and tell their family or friends, and their family and friends are either going to think they're a bit loopy, or they're going to think it's really cool, but it's going to be like watching a TV program to them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it would be like hearing someone went to a movie about someone, you know, the understanding won't be there. So for them to be able to come back to you and have a conversation about what went on during the week, and is there anything that needs to be tidied up afterwards, is really important, if that makes sense. When you do open up things like, say, a past life, or you know, when say in normal hypnosis, which I don't encourage, when people start playing with childhood memories, what happens is through the days following, it opens up more and more because the person thinks about it. And the more they think about it, real or imagined, they'll create the scenes following. Like I said, it could be real. They could be getting in their dreams more flashbacks of that time, or they might be, their creative mind might be creating more to fill in the blanks. Either way, more comes out of the experiences they think about it for days after. And so being able to see you the following week and talk about how they felt during the week, has anything come up, and even do an SP session or even do a chakra session or something on them, just to shift anything else that's sitting there for them. They might want to get a bit more insight. They might actually want to go again a little bit. That's something you'll decide how you do your programs. But you know, sometimes when you're doing that kind of work, you can just say, close your eyes, the memory's already there now. Let's go back into that space and move through it a bit more and get some more understanding. Wouldn't have to be a whole session. You can just use, you know, use the memory of what happened to actually go on and explore a bit more. But yeah, so when we are doing this kind of past life work, it's really important that we treat it with the respect that it deserves, which is playing in a person's actual way that they view the world. Once again, it's really exciting because I think this is the only way where you could learn past life very quickly and in a way that's actually really safe compared to learning it in a big long process. Yeah, so with this, I'm just going to stop the recording.